not sleeping, increasing alcohol consumption, smoking, anger outbursts, small but increased periods of short illnesses, they are all signs of stress. And we're talking chronic stress, stress that's been experienced for a long period of time. The brain is designed to actually experience stress in short periods. But the stress we're talking about that creates some of these things I've just mentioned is chronic ongoing stress. Could be any kind of stress from any environment. They are just some of the signs that stress is present in our life. There's many signs that can take place that show the outside world we're potentially experiencing stress. But when we're actually in stress experiencing it ourselves, we're not noticing increased drinking, smoking, not sleeping. We just manage. We just put up with it. She'll be right, mate. That's kind of how we get through a lot of stuff. I want to share with you a story of somebody that it was experiencing long-term chronic stress over at least a year, probably two, where the stress-related illness that she was experiencing but unaware of was taking her life slowly. That person was me. 30th of November last year, I was busy planning a 60th birthday party for my partner. Had some redness in my leg. I thought I'd better go off and see the doctor, get some antibiotics so I can be right for the party, because good old Kerry, she absolutely organises everything, cooks everything, bakes everything, creates decorations. I'm just one of those people. I like to entertain my brain by cooking, arranging, organising. So I had a big 24 hours ahead of me because I was way behind the 8 ball with everything else that I had going on, and I needed to get things done for this party. So quickly I rushed off to the doctor, hoping that I could get some hardcore antibiotics to get, what looks like an infection under control, and, I'd be able to get on with preparing for the party. Doctor refused, insisted the only road I had available to me was to go to hospital, the emergency department, and of course I refused. So off I come home and start cleaning the house, ready for guests the next day for the party, and doing everything I did, and something clicked inside and said, maybe you should just go to the ED, get some IV antibiotics, and again, you'll be right for the party tomorrow night. So off we went. My partner and daughter came with me to the emergency department of the local hospital, and very quickly I was put into a bed to start the IV antibiotics. But even quicker, they established that my heart was starting to struggle. So that became a different ballgame. Up to ICU, I went to start monitoring my heart that was struggling processing the rampant infection that was in my body. What became abundantly clear to the experts and to me a little bit later on was that my infection was turning septic, which meant that my body was starting to shut down. Specialists told me not long after that had I arrived just 2 hours later to the hospital, I would have passed away. My body was not in a position to be able to fight the infection. So taking on all this information and taking on what I know about stress and stress-related illness, it was becoming abundantly clear to me that stress-related illness was what I was experiencing. My heart was failing because my body was tired of fighting all this stress that had been going on in my body for some time. Stress-related illness is caused by different chemical changes in the body because we have been experiencing excessive long-term chronic stress. It does and can make some serious changes in your body. My body had obviously been experiencing these changes for some time, and it got to crunch time where it really needed to step up and help me and fight this infection. And it said, I'm sorry, I'm too tired. I've been experiencing all of this stuff for so long now, and you've been ignoring me. And I had. I need to own that. So the she'll be right, mate, everything will be okay attitude actually cost me dearly. I'm now about to experience next week, my 6th surgical procedure in just 8 months. Fixing and hoping to fix all the areas of my body that just didn't cope and created, I guess, an unwellness about them. And that's what happens with stress. It creates chemical changes which can cause illness, serious illness, can cause cancers, can cause a whole lot of heart disease. My heart, thankfully, now is, touch wood, going okay. But that's something now I have to monitor for the rest of my life. I need to be aware that pushing through chronic long-term stress is not the answer for me. And it's likely not the answer for you either. Stress we are supposed to experience in short bursts, not chronic long-term. Not managing it will make chemical changes in your body that will cause illness. Full stop. Our bodies are not designed to do that, and research tells us that. Stress is different to anxiety. I'm not going to go into the differences in this video, but stress is different to anxiety. They can coexist, and one can be experienced without the other. Essentially, very briefly, anxiety is a worry about what hasn't yet happened. Stress is something that's going on right here, right now, as is anxiety, that is making some chemical changes to your body. As I said, I'm more than happy to explain the differences in another video. The moral to this story, me sharing, is that the she'll be right mate attitude when it comes to experiencing long-term chronic stress, hoping that one day you wake up and that things are different and the stress is gone, or the stressors are gone. Remembering it's stressors that create the stress. The work environment, the family, the finances. They can be individual stressors, or they can be accumulated stressors. Suffice to say, long-term stress, people, please. Sharing my story is not about getting me out there thinking I'm some sort of hero that wears a cape because I survived stress-related illness, or I'm surviving and I'm planning on continuing to survive the ongoing changes that I'm having to cope with in my body. It's the purpose of sharing this is to highlight that this is very real, and there is a stigma associated with admitting that we have stress. I had my very first instance about 25 years ago, working in an industry that wouldn't cope very well, when my doctor wanted to put stress on my doctor's certificate and I refused. I had a very first blood nose in my life that was so severe, lost so much blood that they needed to hospitalize me for. And the specialist said, oh, it was stress related. Well, you're not putting that on my doctor's certificate. Thank you very much. So there is still some stigma associated with the fact that people, or a portion of the community believes that if you're admitting to suffering stress, it could be that you are just a person that can't cope. And do we need you on board? Do we need you in this job if you can't cope with stress? Do we need you playing this role in the family? Maybe we'll give it to somebody else. There's all sorts of stigma attached to stress. Hence the reason nobody wants to ever admit to that they're not coping. Don't be a Kerry. Admit it to even just yourself, and get the help that is available to you through professional help, through GPs, through any form of assistance whatsoever, to make sure these chemical changes don't happen to you. Because it can happen and it will happen. Don't kid yourself. As I said, I was the biggest kidder of myself for quite some time, if I'm really honest. And I need to stand up and be honest and own my role in this. My digging my head in the sand, ignoring the ongoing stress, is ultimately what put me in hospital for almost a month. Yes, almost a month, laying there, not knowing what was next. The doctors not even knowing what was going to be happening because of something that was happening in my leg that they couldn't control, which was the infection just trying to get out. But again, these chemical changes that were made were causing changes in my body that were leaving some people gazumped. So yeah, the fight is still real. I need to work through that. You know, a month in hospital right on Christmas, almost not home with my family, is not something I ever want to experience again, or want my family and friends to have to experience again. Yesterday I celebrated with a big party. 1 year here, I've fought the fight. I'm continuing to fight the fight, and I will take my learnings, I will share them, and I will hope that others, if they need to, will fight the fight as well.